There's a shopping cart lying on its side in the middle of the water aisle. Just lying there, one wheel still turning a little from where somebody shoved past it. The shelves above it are bare steel, not low, bare. You can see the dust lines where the cases used to sit. There's one crushed 24-pack on the floor, split open, water spreading out across the tile in a slow sheet. And the little yellow price tag still hanging off the shelf edge reads $4.98. $4.98. Nobody's buying it now. There's no register to buy it from. The power went down county-wide 6 hours and 11 minutes ago, and the only light in here is the emergency backup. That flat blue-white kind that buzzes, a sound you stop hearing after a while and then can't stop hearing again. But the people are still filling their carts. That's the part I want you to see. The registers are dark, the card readers are dead, and folks are still loading up like the beep at the checkout is coming. Old habits. And here's the thing that'll keep you alive if you let it sink in. Everything they're fighting over right now. Everything already gone off these shelves in the first 6 hours. It's the wrong thing. Nearly all of it. Stay with me for the next 20 minutes, and I'll walk you through the 13 items that vanish first, in order. And I'll tell you exactly what I reach for instead while everybody else is wrestling over the last case of bottled water. By the end of this, you'll walk through a store differently for the rest of your life. My name's Ray Colton. I spent a good chunk of my adult life in places where the supply trucks stopped coming and nobody sent a replacement. I've worked a grid down after a hurricane and watched a functioning town turn on itself by day 3. I've packed wounds in the field with less than what's sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now. I'm not here to scare you for sport. I'm here because I've watched people die of dumb, preventable things while standing next to the very item that could have saved them, not knowing what it was for. So let me tell you the thing nobody told you. You've been trained your whole life to shop like there's always more coming. Shelves refill overnight. The trucks always roll. And that belief, that quiet faith that the next delivery shows up on time, that belief is the product they're selling you. Here's the machinery under it. A modern Walmart supercenter carries somewhere around 36 to 48 hours of stock on the sales floor and almost nothing in the back. It's called just-in-time inventory. Warehouse space costs money. Holding a buffer eats margin. So the whole system is engineered to keep the shelves looking infinite, right up until the second the trucks stop. And then it empties faster than you can drive there. Now, I want to be careful here, because I'm not one of those men who sees a conspiracy in his cereal. This isn't a room full of villains plotting against you. It's something quieter and honestly worse. It's an entire economy that sat down, did the math, and decided that storing 3 days of backup for you was too expensive. And then quietly bet your survival on the next truck arriving on schedule. Nobody voted on that. It just became the water we all swim in. So when I talk about the 36-hour shelf, or the trucks, that's what I mean. I'm only going to say it once. Hold on to it. Here's the one idea everything else hangs on. Write this down. Buy the multiplier, not the finish line. The panicked crowd grabs the finished product, the bottled water, the pack of batteries, the can of soup. A fixed amount, a shrinking number. Every sip, every use, it gets smaller and it never comes back. The prepared man grabs the thing that makes those products over and over for as long as he needs them. Stop counting units. Start counting how many times a single item can save your life. Once you see the store that way, you can't unsee it. Let's count them down. 13 through 1. And number 1 is the one I held back on purpose. Number 13. Bottled water. Gone first, gone fastest. and I want you to picture the math on it. A family of 4 needs roughly a gallon of water per person per day just to stay functional. That's 4 gallons a day. And that flimsy 24-pack of half-liter bottles is about 3 gallons. So the case people are physically fighting over on the floor is less than a single day for one family. Less than 1 day. Meanwhile, there's a rack near sporting goods with squeeze filters on it, the little hollow fiber ones, rated to push through 100,000 gallons before they quit. 100,000. That's the whole difference between the finish line and the multiplier in one hanging peg. Grab the filter. Let them have the case. Now 12. Let me tell you what nobody mentions about the battery aisle. It goes bare in the first hour, but watch which batteries go. It's the AA and the D cells, because that's what people's flashlights eat. Here's the contradiction. Your phone, your radio, your headlamp, half your gear charges off USB now. So while they're clearing the disposable batteries, I'm 2 aisles over grabbing a power bank, a 20,000 milliamp hour brick that'll recharge a phone 4 or 5 times. And better yet, a small folding solar panel, the kind campers clip to a backpack. Disposable batteries are a finish line. You use them, they're dead. They're landfill. A panel and a bank is a multiplier. The sun comes up every single day whether the trucks run or not. 11. Here's a number, cold, 9 volts. That's the battery in your smoke detector, and it's also oddly one of the most useful little fire starters on the planet. Touch the terminals to a wad of steel wool, and it lights instantly, even in wind, even damp. But that's not why it makes the list. Grab it and skip past the lighters people are hoarding, because I want you to think about fire differently. A single Bic lighter is good for maybe 1,000 lights. A ferrocerium rod, the little metal stick that throws sparks when you scrape it, is good for thousands and thousands. Works soaking wet. Works at altitude. Works when it's 20 below. The crowd takes the flame that runs out. You take the spark that doesn't. 12 was batteries, so let me shift the ground under you for number 10. Canned goods. I know the instinct. Clear the soup, clear the ravioli, clear the beans. But here's what everyone gets wrong. Canned food is heavy, and it's mostly water, and it gives you almost no calories per pound. In the field, I learned to think in calories per ounce, because you might have to carry it. So while they're stacking dented cans, I'm in the baking aisle grabbing cooking oil, peanut butter, and white rice. A bottle of vegetable oil is around 4,000 calories a pound, the most calorie-dense food in the entire store, sitting there ignored. Peanut butter's close behind. That's not a meal, that's fuel that lasts. Number 9. Let me take you back 100 years for this one. Before refrigeration, before the trucks, how did people keep meat from killing them? Salt. Plain salt. They packed it, they cured with it, they preserved whole winters with it. Salt regulates your body, preserves your food, and it never expires. Not in your lifetime, not in your grandchildren's. A 4-pound box costs about $1, and folks walk right past it to grab jerky at $8 a bag. The jerky's a finish line. The salt makes jerky. See the pattern yet? 10 was food weight, 9 was salt, so pay attention to this next one because it's the one that quietly kills more people than any of these. Number 8. Medicine. Everybody grabs the pain reliever and the bandages. Good, fine. But here's the field truth. Infection is what takes people down when the hospitals are full and the trucks aren't running. So, while the shelf's getting cleared of Band-Aids, I'm grabbing the big brown bottle of povidone iodine, the plain antiseptic, and a box of nitrile gloves. And I'm grabbing an unglamorous jar of petroleum jelly, because a smear of it turns any gauze into a wound dressing that won't stick and reopen. I've packed worse wounds than you'll ever get with exactly this. Cheap. Ignored. Life-saving. 7. And this is the one I held back a little. A one-line scene for you. Day 3 of a grid down, and I watched a man who'd stockpiled everything, food, water, ammo, sit in the dark and slowly lose his mind because he had no way to know what was happening outside his own street. Number 7 is information. The crowd never grabs it. Get a hand crank emergency radio, the kind with a built-in flashlight and a USB port. $10 or $15. Needs no batteries at all. You wind it. When the phones die and the towers go dark, the AM band still carries. Knowing whether help is 6 hours out or 6 days out changes every decision you make. Fear lives in the unknown. That little crank kills the unknown. 6. Blunt contradiction of common advice. Don't grab the fancy tactical multi-tool everyone films for their videos. Grab a roll of duct tape and a roll of paracord and a tarp. That's it. A $10 tarp and duct tape will patch a broken window, build a shelter, catch rainwater, splint a leg, and seal a room. Paracord's got 7 inner strands you can pull out for fishing line. Sutures in a pinch, snares, laces. These 3 cheap things do 100 jobs. The multi-tool does 12 and costs $60. Multipliers, always. 5. Here's a cost shock. People flood the pharmacy for prescription strength everything, but the single most valuable medical item in that store is a $2 package of oral rehydration salts. Or, if they're out, the plain sugar and salt to make your own, because the thing that actually kills in a disaster zone, I've seen it in 3 countries, is dehydration from a stomach bug, from bad water, from heat. A person can go from fine to dying in a day. The IV bag in the hospital that fixes that, it's just water, salt, and sugar in the right ratio. And you can make a rough version in a clean bottle for pennies. $2 against a $200 ER visit that isn't coming. 4. Let me hand you a mechanism most folks never think through. Household bleach, plain unscented sodium hypochlorite, is a water treatment plant in a jug. 8 drops per gallon, wait 30 minutes, and you've made questionable water drinkable. 1 gallon of bleach treats thousands of gallons of water, but, and here's the part that matters, it degrades. It loses strength after about 6 months to a year on the shelf, so you rotate it. That's the honest limit. And I'll come back to honesty in a second, because this whole thing falls apart if I lie to you to sound impressive. 3. A hard question. When the water heater's your last clean water and the toilet won't flush, what actually gets you sick? Your own hands. Sanitation collapses first and quietest. Grab hand sanitizer, yes, but grab a 5-gallon bucket with a gamma lid and a package of heavy trash bags, because that bucket becomes your toilet, your wash basin, your carry container, your seat. In the hurricane grid down I worked, the neighborhoods that stayed healthy weren't the ones with the most food. They were the ones who figured out waste and hand washing by day 2. Nobody films the bucket. The bucket saves you. 2. Now let me be straight with you because you've been hearing me for 18 minutes and you deserve the truth. Number 2 is cash, small bills. And here's the honesty beat. This only works in the first day or 2 in a short outage, before people stop believing paper means anything. In a true long collapse, cash goes worthless. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but the card readers die instantly. And for that first window, the man with $40 in 5s and 1s buys what the man with a dead debit card can't. Know its limit. It's a short-term tool, not a savior. And number 1, the thing still sitting on the shelf when everything else is gone. The thing I walk to first every single time. It's not a product. It's a category everybody steps over. Seeds and a manual can opener and a decent fixed-blade knife. The boring trio of a person who's planning past next week. Because here's where the multiplier idea reaches its end point. A packet of seeds costs $1 and can feed you every season for the rest of your life if you learn to save them. The crowd is buying the last meal. You're buying the ability to grow the next 1,000. That's the whole thing. That's buying past the finish line entirely. Now the safety note plain, because I won't let you get this wrong. Bleach treats water. It does not make you invincible. Never mix it with anything, especially not ammonia or other cleaners. The gas it makes will drop you. Use plain unscented, 8 drops a gallon, no more. And if the water's cloudy, filter it first. And that squeeze filter I love, it handles bacteria and protozoa, not viruses and not chemicals. In most of North America, that's fine. Know your water. Match your tool to your thread. Guessing is how people get hurt. Here's a bonus the old-timers knew. You can make a slow-burning emergency lamp from a can of vegetable shortening and a piece of cotton wick pushed down into it. That single can will burn for days, gives light and a little heat. And you probably walked right past it in the baking aisle. Free candle, hidden in plain sight. Step back with me for a second. None of this is really about Walmart. It's about a way of living that taught you to count on the next delivery so completely that you forgot how to make anything yourself. The 36-hour shelf isn't a threat someone's holding over you. It's just the shape of a world that traded resilience for convenience and hoped you'd never notice. And most people never do, until the lights buzz blue and the carts start rolling. So, here's what to do this week. You don't panic buy. You buy one multiplier. This week, get the squeeze filter and a bottle of plain bleach. Next week, the crank radio and the rehydration salts. The week after, the bucket, the tarp, the seeds. Slow, calm, one at a time, no fear. That's how a prepared person is built, not in a panic in the last 6 hours, but in the quiet years before. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what's the one item in your local store you think disappears fastest, and what would you grab instead? I read them. I learned from them. And next time, I'm going to open on something smaller and stranger. A single kitchen sponge, dry, sitting on a windowsill. Because there's a reason that ordinary sponge might be the difference between a house that stays warm and a house that doesn't. And almost nobody knows what it does. I'll show you. Stay ready, stay calm, and I'll see you down the road.